Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while. I'm Gary from the Elysiums. My previous videos I showed off my collection of the Beatles UK albums, the United States albums, showed off my Nirvana collection. Then I did some rankings. I put my 25 essential albums. So this video is a little similar to the Beatles one I did. This is my Aerosmith collection. One of my favorite bands, one of the most influential bands of all time. And they get the slogan, America's Greatest Rock and Roll Band. Now, there's nothing special about the collection. I'm sure everyone has all this stuff. I just want to show it off, and hopefully for some younger people out there who aren't buying CDs and just listen to Spotify, I highly promote buying physical forms of music. And I wish CDs would make a comeback. I know vinyl's making a small comeback, but I just feel like CDs are just so much easier. Pop them in a car, even though cars aren't coming with CD players equipped anymore. But anyway, we'll get right into it. Like I said, nothing special. I have CDs, vinyl, and cassettes, and a lot of duplicates. So I'm going to start off with Aerosmith's debut album. This is 1993 Columbia Remaster. If you look very closely, it doesn't even look like the guys. They're so young. The big hit off of here, obviously, is Dream On. And they also have Mama Kin is also off here, which is it's a hit song, not a huge one. Covered by Guns N' Roses. Next up is my favorite Aerosmith album, their sophomore, Get Your Wings. I'd say the hits off of here would be Same Old Song and Dance, and Season of Wither, which isn't a huge hit song. It's a live staple. If you're an Aerosmith fan, you obviously love the song. Train Kept a Rollin', another live staple off of this. And my favorite Aerosmith song, Lord of the Thighs. Next up is their breakthrough album, Toys in the Attic. Of course, this features Walk This Way, Sweet Emotion, and Sweet Emotion is another one of my favorite Aerosmith songs. I know it might be played out, but if you ever watch Dazed and Confused with that opening scene with the, I think it's an El Camino driving through the school parking lot with Sweet Emotions playing, it's just an amazing scene. I love that. Growing up, I had the VHS, and I had these actual car stereo speakers hooked up into my bedroom. The bedroom was really small. It was like a 9x9 room. And I basically created my own surround sound through a stereo system with these car speakers and a VCR. And it just sounded amazing with that song playing. There's my cat in the background. Ever since then, I fell in love with the song all over again. Of course, being their breakthrough album. Their first two albums didn't sell too well. And after this came out, they re-released Dream On as a single, and it went to the charts after that. Next up, probably their heaviest album, their most influential, definitely on the 80s metal scene, and a lot of guitar players. This is Rocks. Really heavy stuff. Definitely their hardest album. Back in the Saddle, Last Child are the two big hits off here. So many good songs. The whole album is just amazing. All these albums so far are just amazing. You just pop them in, you don't shut them off. Rats in the Cellar, Sick as a Dog, Nobody's Fault, Get the Let Out. So, just so great. Next up is the Cocaine album, Draw the Line. Apparently they were so high on cocaine that they don't even remember making this album. And it shows. It's not as strong as their first four albums. For some reason, they say their first two albums are weak, but I don't know why. I think they're amazing. The big hits off of here is Draw the Line and Kings and Queens, which is not a huge hit, but it's well known. Sight for Sore Eyes, another one of my favorite songs off of this. And then we have the live bootleg. One of my favorite live albums of all time. First, grabbed this on vinyl as a kid. Wasn't even a teenager yet. Unfortunately, the vinyl was just so dry rotted from being old and scratched so much that I had to get rid of it. And I thought I re-bought it, but I didn't. And I saw it at a store and I passed it up because I thought I already had it. And unfortunately, I didn't check my Discogs account on my phone and I would have grabbed it. But I gotta go back to that store and get it. But yeah, man, this stuff is just great. And speaking of Lord of the Thighs, my other favorite Aerosmith song is the version of Dream On that's on here, the live version. Amazing. Definitely check that out. Next studio album, this is In The Rutz. Not their strongest album. It's a little weak. Not really any hits on here. Remember Walking in the Sand as a cover song, and it was kind of a minor hit. But this is just kind of the band just really falling apart at the time. Joe Perry and Steven Tyler there was a lot of fighting and talk of the band breaking up. Now next, I'm not big on greatest hits albums. I rather buy all the studio albums from all the bands I love. But this is Aerosmith's greatest hits. This is their iconic greatest hits that came out in 1980. The one reason I had to grab this is because "Come Together," their cover of the Beatles song, is on here, and it was only featured in the soundtrack for the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which featured the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton. So yeah, this is, I believe, the only Aerosmith greatest hits I own. Next is Rock in a Hard Place. Now this album came out 1982, I'm sorry, 1982, I believe. And this is the only album that doesn't feature Joe Perry. Obviously, Steven Tyler is on here, and Joe Perry was replaced by Jimmy Crespo, and also, Brad Whitford isn't on here either. Rick Dufay, them two play some. Not a bad album, though. I would put this up, I might choose this over Night in the Rutz. Not a bad album. It just doesn't have Joe Perry on it, so it's kind of Steven Tyler taking controls. Next up is another live album. This is Live Classics, or Classics Live, however you want to say it. This is kind of released towards the end of their contract with Columbia Records from the 70s era, before they made their big comeback in the 80s with Geffen Records. Pretty decent song. Features the one, their studio cut, Major Barbara, which was recorded during Get Your Wings, but never released until this live album. So it's 7 live tracks. Chain Kept Rolling, Kings and Queens, Sweet Emotion, Dream On, Mama Can, 3 Mile Smile / Reefer Head Woman, which is from Night in the Rutz, Lord of the Thighs, and then the Major Barbara, the studio. And then we got Classics Live 2. Again, these are okay. They're live Aerosmith from the 70s and early 80s, but they're nowhere close to the live bootleg. This features Back in the Saddle, Walk This Way, Moving Out, Draw the Line, Same Old Song and Dance, Last Child, Let the Music Do the Talking, and Toys in the Attic. And just features Steven Tyler singing Happy Birthday before one of the songs. It might be Walk This Way, I forget exactly which one it was. And then next up is, like I said, I'm not a greatest hits guy, but this is kind of a compilation of, I feel like there are other great songs, really heavy songs, honestly, that weren't hits but could have been. This is Gems. And growing up, before I really knew what was going on, I always was a big Aerosmith fan, and I've seen this stuff, especially my uncle's house. Rocks and Gems, and I thought it was like part 1 and part 2 or whatever. But, I mean, it looked a little similar. But, Rocks, Gems. Yeah, 12 tracks on here. Basically, everything for the first 4, 5, 6 studio albums. And we're going a little out of order here. The only reason I showed all these first is these are all original, well, not original Columbia 1993 remasters. So they all pretty much look the same on the spine. I love when artists do that, have all their CDs kind of looking the same on the spine. All right, next up is the first album coming back. They weren't completely sober yet, but signed it to Geffen Records. This is Done With Mirrors. This is the album when Joe Perry and Brad Whitford came back into the fold. Not a bad album. It gets a bad rap. Came out in 85, but it doesn't have that like 80s metal hard rock sound. It's just straight Aerosmith. Let the Music Do the Talking was the hit off of here. And My Fist Your Face, I always like that song. The other stuff is listenable, but it's nothing too memorable. Next up, we have another like really big breakthrough. This is Permanent Vacation. This came out in 1987. With the whole hair metal, 80s metal scene, Aerosmith was kind of written off, but with this, they definitely, they were the teachers amongst peers almost. This features songs that have been played so many times: Ragdoll, Dude Looks Like a Lady, and Angel, the big hits off of here. And this actually came after their main comeback, which was a duet with Run DMC, who were doing a cover of their song Walk This Way, which was all over MTV, and this is the studio album that followed a year later. This is why it was big, so big. Two of my favorite songs off here are Magic Touch and Cimaraya. Magic Touch, just one of my favorite Aerosmith songs. Such a great song. And also features a cover of the Beatles song, I'm Down. Next up is probably my second favorite Aerosmith album. This is Pump. This is the original copy that my dad bought when it came out. And, you know, it's probably the one Aerosmith album I always knew because it came out when I was about 3 or 4 years old. And just loved it. I love the cover art. I love inside when you fold it out. It's a poster of the band. And again, this isn't something I saw on vinyl once and I passed it up, unfortunately. It was like 25 bucks and I was like, I'm gonna pass it up. And unfortunately, I never found it again. But when I do see it, I'm grabbing it, no matter what the price is. The only reason it's so rare to find on vinyl is because it came out in '89 and CDs were all the buzz then, and vinyl was kind of dying off. Young Lust, such a great song up there. Not really a hit, but another well-known song, kind of like Mama Kin. Lovin' an Elevator is a big hit, obviously. Jane's Got a Gun, The Other Side, and What It Takes. Next up, another huge album, especially for MTV. This is Get a Grip, 1993. The two singles off of this, with the music videos with Alicia Silverstone, Crying and Crazy. And Crazy also featured Liv Tyler, Steven Tyler's daughter. So they were all over MTV. I remember growing up and just like those videos were on constantly. The other hits off of here are Eat the Rich, Living on the Edge, great song. Shut Up and Dance was actually featured in Wayne's World too. And amazing album actually. And oh, I lied. I have Aerosmith's greatest hits from the Geffen era. This is called Big Ones. There's also, I think, Walk of Water is a studio track that wasn't released just for this album, and Blind Man also. I believe Deuces Are Wild might have been from like the Beavis and Butthead soundtrack. But this is my original copy that I remember getting from it was called Play by Columbia House, which was like BMG's rival to the mail-in CD order. You get like 12 CDs for 1 cent. I wish they were still around. They were great, but a lot of people might not know about them. A lot of people remember them now. Next up, we got another big album of the 90s. This is 9 Lives. Features Falling in Love Is So Hard on the Knees, and then Pink, which became a huge song for him. Yeah, pretty solid album. The song 9 Lives is great. Hole in My Soul and Taste of India. Those first 4 songs are great, and then Pink ends up being like towards the end. Now, the thing I like about Aerosmith, I think is pretty cool, is these guys came out in 1973. They were pretty much forgotten about in the early to mid 80s, and then they made a huge comeback, and then they still sold millions of records and stayed relevant in the 90s amongst grunge and alternative and everything else. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But then they did I Don't Want to Miss a Thing for the Armageddon soundtrack, and I liked it when it came out. I was like 12, but I hate that song. That's the one song by Aerosmith I can't listen to. Up next is another live album. This is A Little South of Sanity. This is a 2 CD set. You can always find those cheap, like for $2 used. But decent album. It's basically all hit songs recorded throughout the 80s and 90s for the Geffen records. There's a few from Columbia on here. Same Old Song and Dance, Back in the Saddle, Last Child, Dream On, Walk This Way. But obviously, Sweet Emotion, you gotta play them in a concert. So, but yeah, this is on the 9 Lives tour. Next up was an album I did not like when it came out. I just didn't like the pink artwork, and I just thought it was too poppy. Jaded was the big hit off of here. It was all over VH1 and MTV. I did like the song Just Push Play when it came out, which is the title track. This album, Just Push Play. I remember Fly Away From Here is about, that wasn't that great with the video being on. Sunshine was another single off of here. It was okay, but the other tracks off here that weren't the hits are actually really good. I actually listened to this about a month ago on the way down the shore, and I forgot how good this actually was. Next up, it's not totally a studio album, but it is. It's a cover album of all old blues covers. They had I think Baby Please Don't Go was like a hit at the time. This came out 2004, I believe. 2004. Yeah, it just covers of Robert Johnson, drawing a blank and the other guys. Should have did my research for there. But yeah, there's a couple of Robert Johnson covers on there. I believe Lightning Hopkins, maybe. Willie Dixon, something like that. Sure, I'll get corrected in the comments. And then finally, we have their last studio album. And yeah, this is a flop. This is just not good, I don't think, at all. I've listened to it maybe once or twice, and I guess I gotta give it another try. It's been a while. I revisit some of the tracks on Spotify, which I don't like doing, but I'm at work, so I can't bring my CD collection with me. It's the only reason I have Spotify to listen to at work. But yeah, Oh Yeah was like a minor rock radio hit, but didn't really like this album at all. But I gotta give it another try. And I don't have all the other greatest hits, like one's called Young Lust, I think, with the girl on the bra. The one anthology, Oh Yeah, I think it's called Aerosmith's Greatest Hits, a double CD with the lenticular cover. I should get that though, because it has 2 other tracks on there. Girls of Summer and Lay It Down, which is the only reason I'll probably buy that. So yeah, that's it with the CDs. Now we're gonna get to the vinyl. This is their self-titled debut. Now this was probably released after Get Your, Toys in the Attic, because as you see, it says featuring Dream On. So they re-released these after Walk This Way became such a big hit, and then they released this with Dream On, so that's why it says it on the cover to help sell the albums. But there you can see what I was talking about, how young the guys look, especially Steve in there. And again, of course, my favorite Aerosmith album, Get Your Wings. Now these are, besides the self-titled, these are all original pressings. They're kind of beat up covers. They still play great. And especially this one, you see a lot of ringwear on it, Toys in the Attic. The reason I don't rebuy them is because they're original, and I've had these for years. And I don't know, maybe one day I will rebuy them, but I don't know, I just like the way they look. Of course, rocks. I'm not going to say too much about them because I said it all in the CDs. Draw the line. It's pretty crispy white still. Didn't lose its color for being that old. In the Rutz. This is starting to get a little yellow on it. I keep these all in a clear plastic sleeve, which I mentioned in one of my other videos. I took them off though because of the glare. Aerosmith Done With Beers. And then this one, you know, there's some rippage from wear damage. But I actually found this in a $1 bargain bin. Original insert. Which this is another Aerosmith album that's rare to find because it came out in '87. Which, you know, at that time, CDs were taken over. And, you know, it's kind of funny. I see the BMG cover there. So this is actually a BMG CD club or a record club pressing. And that's with the vinyl. I got to get more Aerosmith vinyl. So whenever I find something I don't have, I definitely buy it. Next, we're going to get into the cassettes. And there's their self-titled one again. This one is rare. It doesn't have their name on there. I was talking to this girl on the original with the... For those of you who don't know what a cassette is, I was talking to a girl on Instagram who's a huge Aerosmith collector, and she said she's never even seen this. But she is in Brazil, so could be a United States exclusive, but she didn't know anything about it. Of course, gonna have my favorite, Get Your Wings. Toys in the Attic, the big one. And for some reason, I know I have rocks, but I cannot find it. I don't know where it is. I gotta check the basement, another collection. There's the original Draw the Line sticker there. The great live bootleg. In The Rutz. Again, Done With Mirrors. Another one of my favorites. Pump.